I wanted to come by and talk about how to deal with women that have emotional baggage. To those of you that are new subscribers, welcome to my life. And those of you that have watched videos from me, you understand that what I share is from my life. I realize that my life is not my own. And, I share enough about my life to empower and encourage other people to move forward. You move forward because our lives are all about forward progression. So I wanted to talk about it because, I've noticed some things have come up in the later years of my life that are from my past. I'm like, what in the world is this? I've dealt with my past. I'm whole. I'm complete. Then I get married. We have a collision of two histories. And I'm like, what is going on? Marriage is great. It is wonderful. But what happens is 50% of marriages fail and 50% of marriages are succeeding right now in 2010 in society. And that's because so many women have emotional baggage that they're dealing with. And a lot of times as men, they're like, get over it. They offer solutions, get it together. And as a woman, you're like, well, I have it together. Because you know what? When you're single, you do have it together. I have a single friend, and I had a meeting yesterday, and she said, you know what, Tina, I had it together. But she was in Korea, and her boyfriend lives in France, her fiance. And he said something about her not cooking, and she said, I didn't even think about that. Because when you're single, you do the things the single people do. You go where you want to go, you hang out, you cook when you feel like it. You don't have that extra as a woman. When you get into that marriage, you want to cook for yourself. You make love, and for men it takes a lot, but when a woman marries, making love takes a lot from her because she's giving her all in that marriage. You may be ironing your husband's clothes, or you may both be working but coming home and he's looking to you, his wife, to fulfill needs. So when I talk about emotional baggage, a lot of times, especially in the African American community, unfortunately, we have a lot of women growing up without fathers in the home, and some without mothers in the home, and the grandparents are raising them. What happens when you have a parent missing is you have a piece of that puzzle. There's a disconnect. No matter what, there's a tear and disconnect. When you think of a mother, you think of a nurturer. I mean, when I love my kids and they hug me and I kiss them and my daughters, I look for things to tell them that are wonderful about them and beautiful about them. And my son, I look to say, hey, you're doing a great, awesome job and things like that. When you think in terms of a father, and I'm talking about good parents, when you think in terms of a father, you think more in terms of that nurturer, that provider, that dads give affirmation. Hey, great job, They tell their daughters they're beautiful, so their daughters aren't looking to men to tell them that they're beautiful. Aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents. There's pieces to that puzzle that are very important. Well, what I learned in my marriage and my life, the pieces were missing. You know my story. My mom left when I was one. Left me with left me with my grandma. There's a story to that. My dad, I didn't meet him until I was 18 behind prison bars, and he died in prison. Grandmother, I left there when I was 12, and she's never done anything for me. And I talk to her here and there. Might be, we could talk once every 2 or 3 or 4 years. And she doesn't talk to any of her kids. My aunt that raised me was murdered 3 years ago. That was really, really tough for me. We had a tumultuous relationship. We were up, we were down. We talked for a couple years we wouldn't. And I recognized there were things that happened in my life. Now, before I got married, look here, I was whole, I was complete, I have fruit on my tree, as they say. What I've learned, though, is you get pruned so that fruit comes. And if you have that, you prune some more, but you don't have it together. So when I get married, a lot of things are coming up, and I'm finding that, my husband did a blog post, and it offended me, and I was like, what happened? It talked a little bit about needing a filler, how it makes another person feel, and I told him, sometimes I need you to fill in. I've learned sometimes I just need you to be the best friend. Sometimes I just need you to be the mother. Sometimes I need you to be the father. And when I say that, it's not in a perverse sense. It's saying that, it's saying that there were some pieces missing from my life, and I didn't realize it. Because what happens is we get patched up. You go through life, you get patched up. People do things to you, you're in a domestic violence relationship. And eventually, I'm telling you, believe you will get a good mate. They will find you. But then women are patched up, but they're not completely healed. Because what happens when you get into a marriage and you join that strong relationship of marriage, the devil attacks even harder. He attacks the head first, which is the man. So what happens when you can't hear? If I'm talking right now, I can't hear barely myself. And What happens if, you have a headache or your eyes hurt or your nose, you can't breathe? It doesn't feel good. But what happens when the body is attacked too? Your hands or your feet or your legs, you can barely walk. And the devil, one day I told my husband, I said, baby, I just feel like I'm being beat up. But I dived more into my word. I spent more with the audio one. When I was single, I played Creflo Dollar, the affirmation confessions every night during my sleep. My spirit was growing. But when you're married, I just don't play it. So what happens is you're being attacked. And these women are dealing with these emotions. I wasn't nurtured. I wasn't held as a child. Nobody loved me, which they didn't. But now I'm looking at my husband. He's my all in all. And I look to God first. And we all know, go to God. But we have to do more going to the throne before we go to that phone. And even today, when I was like, baby, I need you to be that filler. Or sometimes I need you to be that Superman or S on your chest. At first, he didn't understand. That's why I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me and my emotional baggage. I got a professional counselor just to pour some of that on. Because, again, what happens with the African American woman, it's not our fault that we have all of these issues that we have been dealt with in life. But we're looking to our men, whether they're black men or, Caucasian men, whoever we're with, white men. We're looking to our mate, though, to fill a lot of needs that no, they shouldn't have to fill. But you know what? When you married that woman, you knew that she didn't have parents. You knew that, her past was a little messed up. You knew that her ex abused her. Sometimes we have to give above and beyond. Sometimes it's about being extraordinary in a relationship and giving that full 100% all the time. So I just wanted to pass that along to you all. I hope you hear it from my heart. Dealing with women's emotional baggage, just understand that role. Maybe you need to affirm her and tell her she's beautiful because she didn't get it growing up. Something she just doesn't know. Like with my daughters, they took the trash out for so long and picked up that role. Now freedom, my husband comes home and takes that trash out and they look to me. I mean, I could do anything. I didn't fix anything, but now, I want my husband to do those things because he's my provider. He's the head of our home. I want him to be strong. I pray for him. So dealing with emotional baggage for me as a woman, we have to recognize when there are issues in our life too. It is up to us to understand and talk to your spouse, baby. You know what? There were just certain things. My mom was mean and crazy growing up. She was bitter towards men. So sometimes, that's why I feel the way I do. Tell him that. My husband said one day he wanted us to go to a church where the woman was a pastor, and I said, no, I don't know. And I told him, I said, look, I have a strong personality, but my husband is just much stronger than me, but I have a strong personality. And I said, I don't know if I want to go to a church with a female pastor because the people that I know that go to churches with female pastors they're just a little overbearing, a little, more aggressive or assertive. And I said, I don't know if I want to do that. And he understood. So again, communicate, and really look at what happened to you and why you are the way that you are. Remember, life is about choices and deal with it. Don't put it to the side. Deal with it. We have a long life to live. We got a lot to do on this earth. Don't be afraid to deal with it. Remember those collision of two histories, you're being attacked because being like this, you're stronger as one. You're stronger as one than you are apart. All right, well, hope that this blesses you. Thanks for watching. And as always, my husband, D. is 47. I love this man. I love him. He is custom made just for Spark Wisdom. Peace.